defense's main star witness who said no. The shooter wasn't wearing red, he was wearing black. So obviously the jury wants to take a look at all this video and process all of that. They're still looking at that video at last check when I walked out of the courtroom about 15 minutes ago. Elise?
Yeah, so a lot seems to hinge on the color that was being worn, Kevin, because that's something that we continue to see coming up. Any other moments from court stand out to you that you can share with us, Kevin?
Well, the interesting thing here, I think that everyone needs to be mindful of is that obviously the murder charge is the big charge. It's we have two felony murder and is one of them as well. So there are two different murder counts here, and then there are a host of gang charges and gun charges. So there is looking at that video, he has a gun. If you believe that is Mr. Connolly wearing red, and I don't think there's any dispute about that. So I think that's something that people will keep in mind in the jury box and people taking this trial in at home, because obviously the heavy hitter is the murder charge. There are other charges in this count.
Yeah, of course. I'm glad you mentioned that, Kevin. So obviously it's hard to know in cases like this, but any indication at all on when we might hear that a verdict has been reached, maybe how long that might take?
We could speculate. I think it's fair to speculate on something like that and be a little conservative on that. Working 2 hours yesterday, working today, I would think that it's possible we could see a verdict today, but certainly I would think by Monday. My experience has been when you get into about 3 days, you may get an Allen charge from the jury if they say they're deadlocked, and usually you'll see something within that 3 to 4 day range. So I would bet that we may see a verdict certainly at some point Monday, but we never know what a jury may do.
Sure. All right. Makes a lot of sense. Jury deliberations underway in the trial of the man accused of murdering Secoriea Turner. So, Kevin, thank you so much for that recap and for what we can expect looking ahead. We sure appreciate it. Want to get you caught up now on some more stories that we continue to follow for you today. This is in Cobb County. That's where police are investigating two violent incidents that happened in the same area where a baby was killed earlier this week. Early Friday, two women were stabbed at the Budgetel Inn on Circle 75 Parkway, the same motel where that 9-month-old baby girl was shot and killed days earlier. So one of those victims is 45-year-old Amatrin Hawkins of Atlanta. She was taken to the hospital. She passed away shortly after her injuries. Another victim in this case, 19-year-old Janiyah Jenkins of Atlanta, was taken to the hospital with a severe laceration to her right hand. We're told she's in stable condition, but police have charged 46-year-old Frank Moore of Atlanta with felony murder, also 2 counts of aggravated assault, possession of a knife during the commission of a felony as well. Police say the victims and Moore did know each other and that these crimes are not related to any other acts of violence that have taken place nearby. So, of course, a story that we continue to follow for you there this morning. But switching gears, I want to talk about a really pressing issue that's happening here in Georgia and around the country. And we're talking about homelessness when it comes to our veterans. So according to the Department of Housing and Urban Development, more than 30,000 veterans are homeless here in the country. So a big pressing problem that more is being done to help that. So we've got joining us this morning, Jennifer Turner-Reed. She is the Network Homeless Coordinator for the Department of Veterans Affairs. So Jennifer, thank you so much for taking the time to check in with us this morning. We appreciate it. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Let's dive into talking about the effort, how important that money is that's being put to helping to fight homelessness in Georgia. What can you share with us about that?
Absolutely. The money that is being contributed to in veteran homelessness is a continuation of the great work and success that is a system that's working through a one-team approach. The money supports legal services like child support, child custody cases, pending evictions, outstanding fines, and other legal debts. The money is also used for case management services to add additional support in helping veterans navigate housing resources and employment. One testament of how the grant is worked is used. The Dublin VA has a case management grant at Salvation Army in Macon. They work with a veteran who was released from prison, admitted him into the Salvation Army Transitional Housing Program, and thanks to the grant, the veteran received extra support to find housing and a job. Now the veteran has a job and received a HUD-VASH housing choice voucher and continues to receive support from case managers to remain housed and employed.
Yeah, so some really incredible work it looks like that's happening right now. And as you were speaking, Jennifer, we were also showing some video of some of the outreach services that have been offered as well. But give us some insight into what kind of a problem that we're looking at in the Atlanta area, specifically when it comes to veterans and homelessness.
So when it comes to veterans and homelessness, specifically in the Atlanta area, we know we have a lot of veterans who are still homeless on the street, but we do outreach. One of the initiatives that we do have annually is our Operation Reveille, which is a 1 day of comprehensive services from various VA departments and from our community partners. Our most recent one was September the 10th, where we had a total of 50 community partners and VA partners participate, and we served over 100 veterans.
It's incredible. Yeah, a lot of people being touched by this, a lot of lives being changed and reached through these services. So in addition to what you just shared with us, I know that improvements are also being made when it comes to veterans care as well. So Jennifer, what can you share with us about that?
Absolutely. So veterans health care is extremely important. When homeless veterans come off the street, some of them have medical issues that have not been treated for years. So now they can be addressed. And with health care, along with legal services, case management grants, and additional services offered by the homeless program and our community partners, the health care one team approach is instrumental in a veteran's journey towards stability and well-being. I can provide another example of a veteran who, from the Atlanta VA, he was recently incarcerated, but he went through the Veterans Treatment Court, was referred to residential treatment where he received mental health and substance abuse treatment. And during his recovery, he also received a HUD Bash voucher and was housed, employed, and most recently, and we are so proud of this effort that he made in his goals, that he became a certified peer specialist. And now he's employed, housed, and helping other veterans navigate the VA system.
I mean, it's incredible to hear these specific stories of folks who've been reached. I mean, how about for you, knowing that you're playing a hand in doing this incredible work? How does this make you feel knowing that it's actually working, Jennifer?
It makes me feel extremely proud because no veteran should be homeless any night on any street. And the work we do is so important, but we can't do it by ourselves. And that's why we call it the one team approach. We include all our community partners, SSVF, the housing authorities, faith-based organizations, suicide prevention. We all come together as a one team and we outreach and help veterans as much as we can.
Yeah, good to hear. And it's obviously, you know, something that you're passionate about, something you know a lot about as well. So for folks who are watching right now, maybe they need help, maybe they have a family member or a friend that needs help. Where can they go for more information on learning what's available to them if they have questions and need answers on some resources?
Yes, so if you are a veteran or know a veteran who's homeless or at risk of becoming homeless, please reach out to the National Call Center for Homeless Veterans at 877-424-3838. Again, that's 877-424-3838. We have programs and resources in place to help.
Good to hear. Jennifer Turner Reed with the Department of Veterans Affairs joining us this morning. Jennifer, thank you so much for the work that you're doing, for the lives that you're touching, and for joining us to share more about it. We sure do appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we want to get you caught up on more of the headlines that we're tracking for you this morning. Let's start with this one in Gwinnett County. This is where police are investigating a homicide. They say this is after a woman was found dead inside of a home that happened in Stone Mountain there Thursday afternoon. So officers got a call at about 4:30. DeShong Drive is where they showed up. They say a family member had discovered a woman unresponsive. Police say it looked like she'd been stabbed. The cause of death, though, has yet to be confirmed by the medical examiner. But this is what police are telling us about it. They say a second woman, also a relative, was detained at the scene and is being questioned. No charges have been filed on this just yet, but police say they are not looking for additional suspects at this time. They tell us that their investigation into this is ongoing. And now to something that happened yesterday at around the Battery. You might have heard about this. Yesterday afternoon, Georgia State Patrol were led on a chase. It ended up at that really busy intersection at Cobb Parkway, Circle 75 Parkway. Incident started, they say, just before noon, and that's when a trooper stopped a black Honda Civic for a window tint violation. That's how this all started. They said the driver initially pulled over, but then sped off as the troopers approached the vehicle. So troopers then chased the car on South Cobb Parkway. Car south, that is, on Cobb Parkway, forced it to slow down at that intersection. The trooper maneuvered in front of the Civic, blocking it in. So when troopers approached, they found the driver was dead from what appeared to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. There was a passenger in the vehicle. They were escorted from the scene. The name of that driver has not been released just yet, but the GBI is on top of this investigation along with the Georgia Department of Public Safety. We're told that this case has been turned over to them. Well, now to a story out of DeKalb County. This is of a wife, and she is demanding answers after police say during a traffic stop her husband was shot. She said she's outraged about it. She's calling for accountability, wants answers into what happened. Rodney Moore was shot 6 times by police, we mentioned, during that traffic stop. The officer-involved shooting happened just after 3 a.m. Wednesday near Central Drive and Lancaster Circle. Police say Moore had an active arrest at the time of the stop. He claims his wife was not aggressive, or rather his wife claims he was not aggressive. She says he didn't have a gun and he has physical disabilities. Now, the GBI has indicated he did, in fact, have a gun. They say that they ended up having to shoot him while they were trying to arrest him. So he's in critical condition at Grady at this time. So some key details about Moore's arrest warrant and whether a gun was recovered there at the scene remain unclear. That's a story that we, of course, will continue to follow for you. Along with this, got to mention, it's been 1 year since Hurricane Helene. Recovery efforts are still underway, especially in Asheville, North Carolina. So we're going to check in with one of our Fox reporters right after this. Welcome back, everyone, and thanks for streaming with us on this Friday. TGIF, we have finally made it. And turning now to Atlanta sports, getting you caught up on that. The Hawks general manager shared the latest on the team. There's a lot to talk about here, so let's listen into what he had to say.
All right, what's up, everybody? It's good to see everybody. Excited to be back. Had a lot of good Beltline walks this summer, so that was good, always productive. Just wanted to say we had a productive offseason. I felt like we really did a good job with addressing some needs on the roster. We're really excited about the guys, the talent we've brought in, but also the type of people that we brought in as well. These guys are cultural fits. They fit our group, they fit our organization, and that was a big part of the recruitment process, a big part of the talent evaluation process as well. We look at character as a big deal here. Also a big productive off season when it comes to just our front office and building that out some more. And Peter Dinwiddie, Bryson Graham, just joining Kyle and myself in leadership positions here in Atlanta. We're super excited for those guys. They've been a tremendous help and add myself. And I really do want to thank our front office for everything they've done this summer. Everybody worked their ass off. It was great. From our VPs to our seasonals, shout out to them. Those guys do a lot of work, and just super excited and again, very thankful for Tony and the Wrestler family to give me this opportunity to lead this organization from a basketball operations front. He's been nothing but supportive, and we're really looking forward for this year. We're really excited about this group. And, you know, just with that, though, comes we are evaluating. You know, any and every team is evaluating their roster all the time, right? For us, it's like when you evaluate, you also got to realize, like, we have a lot of new faces here. And for that to gel and build that chemistry, it takes a little bit of time. We haven't had a practice yet. So I know there's, you know, these expectations publicly that have been out there, but at the same time, like, I'd like to see us practice once and see that happen and play a game or two maybe. But really, we're really excited about this group, and with the evaluation part comes a development component. Like I told you guys, like we're not here to be good for a year. We're trying to be good for a long time. We're trying to build something sustainable, something with some longevity. You know, I've come from programs where that was the emphasis, and we're hoping to build that here in Atlanta. We really are. And you know, when you talk about development, like I think it gets misconstrued quite frequently about, you know, you're talking about young guys like Jalen, Dyson, Zach, Asa. Like, no, like I said before, if you're 19 or 35 and you come into the Atlanta Hawks program, we're trying to build an elite basketball program here. We want you to be the best version of yourself when you come here. San Antonio, that was a lot of the messaging, the tenets in our values was development, and it's the same thing here. Like a big reason why Nikhil came here was the development component. He wanted to get better, and he saw that within our program. And I think that's every player on our roster is trying to get better. Guys have been in the gym a lot this summer, and it's awesome to see it, and the vibe has been great with our group. So we're super excited about that. But we are developmentally focused in that regard. And that extends to our front office, everybody here. I'm trying to get better at this too. Like, nobody's perfect at this stuff, right? And then when it comes to, like I said, guys are in the gym. Guys have been working hard. They've been doing their thing. And it's been just awesome seeing the gym so active and guys in there and vibing and joking around. We got a good energy about us right now. And, you know, I think we're going to put out a team that's really competitive. Guys that are going to work hard, guys that are going to play together and for each other, and we're really excited about that. So, all right, what's up?
I'm a Hawks general manager there on the very latest on the Atlanta Hawks. But let's get you caught up on the forecast now. It's Friday, so of course Jonathan Stacy is joining us. We got to discuss today. We have to discuss the weekend. There's a lot to talk about.
There is a lot. The brightening skies are coming. It doesn't look so bright right now, quite dim outside, but some of you are enjoying some blue skies. In fact, the further to the north and to the west you are across our kind of northwest mountain communities, that's where you have the most sunshine. And you can find that temperatures are pretty much the same across the board, no matter where you go. We're all in the 70s. And we're going to kind of spend a lot of time there. I think we'll manage to lift our head above 80 degrees at some point in time today. But by and large, it will be a day mixed with clouds and then some showers and storms coming in. So a fairly calm day in contrast to yesterday. But I think the skies could change on a dime. Around 3 o'clock, as you look at the hour-by-hour forecast, you can see a few little bubbles popping up on either side of I-85. The lion's share of the action today will be to the south and to the east of the metro area. So you can see that's who gets most of the storm activity. But around the time the sun goes down. It looks like there's a little flare up, and then things start to calm down overnight. But you're still not home free in terms of ridding yourselves of the cloud cover down to the south and to the east as you wake up tomorrow morning. So tomorrow morning may come with a bit of dismay, especially if you're out there in Athens, you're getting ready to do some tailgating as Alabama comes to town, and you're like, okay, what kind of day is it going to turn out to be? Do not start to fret, because it may look great to start, but there is sunshine to come, and you'll find that Saturday will be fairly nice. There may be some fog to start out, especially where you don't have rain. Temperatures starting out in the 60s across the area. We're looking at upper 60s, but you'll start to feel a bit of a difference in the air, especially to the north and to the east of town, where the front has already moved through. That means the dew points are going to drop overnight. Therefore, you won't have enough energy or moisture to create fog or rain. So you'll start out with plenty of sunshine, and then that sunshine will push the highs ultimately up into the 80s. So while we're looking at things here on the local level, we have to zoom out, and we have to take a peek at the action into the Atlantics, because what is happening across our area now is fairly calm, but it could lay the groundwork, if you will, for things to change or to exacerbate what our problems will be later in the week. Let me make sense of that. So we have two tropical waves out here. One is Hurricane Humberto. It formed yesterday. It was a tropical storm, then overnight it was upgraded to a hurricane, and now that 11 o'clock update is out, and winds have piped up to some 90 miles per hour. They're sustained now, so it is strengthening very quickly. It's moving to the north slowly, though, to the northwest at 5 miles an hour. That's not too fast, at least. So we're going to find that it's going to have a lot of time to strengthen, and it could also be of a concern to the East Coast as well. The big question is it going to play off of, or is it going to suck the energy from a nearby disturbance that is down to the south and to the west? And it's over Hispaniola in the eastern tip of Cuba. It is not named yet, but it will take the name Imelda, and it could get that name before the afternoon is over. In fact, hurricane hunters are going inside at 1 o'clock this afternoon. So we'll get some data, and that data will immediately be infused into the modeling that we get here in the Storm Center, and we'll be able to tell, like, pretty quickly within an hour or two, what the storm's trajectory is like. We're going to get an idea of the health, the anatomy of the storm. So it's now has a 90% chance of development over the next 7 days, but in 7 days it's all said and done. But look at the spaghetti plots. It gives a landfall as a tropical storm or a low-grade hurricane, Cat 1 or Cat 2, sometime Monday evening. Now, these models have slowed down over yesterday, but you can see that it looks like they're trying to converge on the South Carolina-Georgia state line. But Joanne and I were talking about this morning. There's an interesting little hook and turn that happens here. Most of the time, the Coriolis effect wants to pull energy up and over to the Atlantic. But this system is trying to go to the west and curve over the mountains of northeast Georgia. So look at those lines, Elise, there. You can see LJ, Atlanta, like what's going on here. So there's this kind of weird curve. So we're going to see if that is going to continue to be a trend. Hopefully not the consensus of the modeling.
Hopefully not.
But I was talking about the rain that we've received already. Not that we got a whole lot of rain, but some communities got a healthy dose, 2 to 4 inches in some cases, especially up north. Okay, so the ground is saturated as a result of the rain that was received, you know, the day before yesterday, today, and possibly even tomorrow. And so if we get a close pass with this tropical system, we already have a saturated ground, and there's more to come. And it's the areas across northeast Georgia that I'm concerned about, because that's where you have the more slopey territory, because it's more mountainous or rugged terrain. And as we look back to Helene, that's what was one of the major impacts of it. We had never seen that much water.
Yes.
And basically what areas near and around Asheville had, they had days and days of rain before, brought on by another separate system. And then you had the incoming of Helene that brought a lot of water, albeit over a short period of time. So if
made it the perfect storm.
Yeah, exactly. It was kind of two storms at once. So, you know, we got some rain that was much needed, but it could turn out to be a problem for maybe a couple communities or region if we get somewhere near 3 to 4 inches. Once again, it's going to all be about that curve and turn.
Okay. All right. Well, I want you to stay right here because we're actually talking right now about Hurricane Helene. It's been a year since we saw the devastation that happened here in Georgia and North Carolina as well. So Fox's Chelsea Torres is in Asheville. So Chelsea, good morning, and thank you so much for joining us. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done, but let's back it up just a little bit and tell us, how far it's come from what you saw last year.
Oh, absolutely, Elise. I mean, where I'm standing now, about a year ago, it was completely covered of water. All of these buildings were nearly underwater, and you can see buildings, businesses behind me still trying to rebuild, but there are some that are open. They're open for business, and tourism really has started to come back here in the region. But when we kind of go back that year, we remember that Helene washed out roads, it washed out electricity and clean water, and a good chunk of this region didn't even have any cell service. So a lot of that immediate help that came in was directly from the sky, and a large part of those were from volunteers.
Yeah, Chelsea, what can you tell us about how businesses are doing? And, looking there behind you where you're standing, it looks like there's still quite a bit of work that needs to be done that we're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, it really is dependent on businesses and how close they were to the river. So actually right on the other side of these businesses behind me is the river. That's the French Broad River. And so it came up so high. I believe it was more, and correct me if I'm wrong, about 24 feet to 30 feet here, at least in this region. And I remember actually being here just under a year ago and walking around this entire area. Once the water receded, there was mud, silt covering practically everything from the grass to the buildings. You could see the water line on a lot of these buildings, but a lot of businesses, you can probably hear and see some crews behind me as they are trying to work as much as they possibly can to get their businesses open. In some of the small towns that I've been in, a lot have been able to be open earlier this year. Some were able to open just months after Helene. Again, it really just depended on where they were, how close to the river they were. But again, I mean, some businesses also, it comes down to funding. It comes down to money and all the paperwork and everything else. Are they able to get through those obstacles and actually open? But again, I mentioned tourism has really bounced back, not to where it was before, but in pretty big strides. To me, it's amazing just to see the recovery process in this area. I know that the governor's office has said 97% of roads and bridges have been able to reopen and be completely repaved, and that alone is a beautiful thing, just because then you're able to get more of those resources in here so people can get that help.
And Chelsea, Jonathan, Stacy here. I'm curious to know, as we approach this anniversary and mark the end to this years-long recovery effort that will continue for many years to come, how are people reacting to the murmurs and to the potential forecast of impacts happening literally less than 5 days from now? And if this storm manages to move a little bit to the north, that definitely brings western North Carolina into the conversation for at least 3 to 5 inches of rainfall.
Oh, absolutely. Jonathan, actually, I can tell you, even, I believe it was days to weeks after Helene, it started downpouring in the region. And I remember a lot of people that I were talking to either lost their home, their jobs, their cars, or just everything that they have were almost traumatized. And they kept telling me that they are becoming traumatized just by rain itself. Now, I think people have almost gone past that a little bit, right? So they're trying to rebuild. They're trying to just take it day by day. Some families I've talked to just this week were saying we just take it hour by hour because they're still living in a camper. Maybe they haven't been able to rebuild their home or get other kinds of another home in general. So at this point, I think people are just a little bit more optimistic. It's interesting because a lot of people that I also talked to that came from the coast, they grew up with hurricanes and they never thought that they would move to the mountains and experience a hurricane. So now at this point, I think people are just trying to stay as strong as they possibly can. And I've even noticed some homes that are fairly close to the river that have rebuilt. They have nearly a 10-foot foundation. So there's a lot of different kinds of preventative measures that people are doing after experiencing what Helene did to them.
It's like a lot of work still yet to do.
Yes.
No doubt. All right. Chelsea Torres live for us in Asheville. Chelsea, thank you so much. We certainly appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you, guys.
Well, there you go. I mean, even just looking there right behind her. Yeah.
Yep. It's ongoing. and we hope
ongoing.
that what is coming is not insult to injury, for sure.
There we go. Jonathan, thank you so much. We appreciate it, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Getting you caught up on more of the stories that we are following for you this morning. A major political twist. Former FBI Director James Comey has been indicted. He's charged with making false statements and obstruction. It's all tied to his 2020 testimony on the Trump-Russia investigation. So to dive a little bit deeper into this, prosecutors say he lied to Congress about authorizing leaks to the media. And this is the first time a senior official has faced criminal charges connected to that probe. And this indictment comes just days after President Trump publicly pushed Attorney General Pam Bondi to prosecute Comey. Comey's own son-in-law is a federal prosecutor. He actually resigned within minutes of the announcement, citing loyalty to the Constitution. So that's an interesting twist in this as well. Comey, meanwhile, denies all of the charges. He's demanding a trial. We've heard him come out and say that in a statement. He's due in court October 9th in Virginia, and that's just a day before the statute of limitations would have expired. So all of this happening just in the nick of time, I guess you can say. And now to some news from Social Security Administration. They're saying they will stop issuing paper checks at the end of the mail. So this is really important information for those who receive these checks. It'll impact hundreds of thousands of beneficiaries across the U.S. And this whole shift is coming after President Trump issued an executive order back in March mandating all federal payments be made electronically beginning September 30th. So payments will eventually be sent via direct deposit and credit cards as well. The White House is saying paper-based payments, they're more expensive. They're saying they're more vulnerable to fraud, to theft, to errors, to delays. So they're saying this should actually end up being an improvement. Social Security Administration is contacting those who are beneficiaries of this, telling them about the change and just the shift that's going to be happening and how they receive their payments is what the Social Security Administration is telling Fox Business. So again, this is some really big news if you're one of those receiving paper checks from the Social Security Administration. You want to make sure that you make alternate plans for that. And turning to a huge historic settlement from Amazon to the tune of $2.5 billion to settle some federal charges that it misled customers into signing up for Prime membership. So the FTC is saying that the tech giant tricked their users with sneaky signups and made cancellations confusing and frustrating. They're saying the deal includes $1 billion in fine. That's the largest in FTC history, so huge amount of money there, along with $1.5 billion in refunds to affected consumers. So if you're wondering how much you would get if you were impacted by this, it's about $51 that you'll be given back automatically. Amazon has not admitted to any wrongdoing here, but under the agreement, they are making signups and cancellations clear and easy. So that should be something that's easier to do from here on out. But this is all coming just a few days after the trial kicked off in Seattle and years after the investigation began from the Trump administration. And they're saying that more than 30 million Amazon Prime users are eligible for claims. So some really important information to share with you there. Meanwhile, the FDA plans to conduct a new review of abortion pills. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. sent letters to about 22 Republican attorneys general who requested a review of mifepristone and how it could safely be dispensed. So the pill is used to induce an abortion or to help manage an early miscarriage. FDA authorized it for abortion back in September of 2000. The generic version was approved in 2019. Meanwhile, Kennedy has not committed to changing the rules of access around the drug, but he has promised, what we've heard him say, he's promised to review its data. So that is something that he will be looking into. But meanwhile, we want to show you this. It is World Contraception Day. And to mark the day, you have to check out this 20-foot inflatable IUD display. It's nicknamed Frida, and this can be seen in Atlanta right now. This is actually on display at Liberty Plaza. Capitol Avenue in Atlanta is where this is. So that's what you're seeing there on your screen right now. There's some speakers on hand to talk about this. This is from the group Americans for Contraception. We heard from them. They're saying all of this is to raise awareness about contraception rights here in the U.S. and how they believe that those rights are being challenged right now. So let's listen into what one of those speakers had to say.
We've been discussing public health and the CDC a lot in the news lately. Well, access to contraception is a cornerstone of public health. The American Public Health Association has long affirmed that the benefits, this is a quote, are so significant that universal access to contraception is accepted internationally as essential to human rights. Abortion bans and contraceptive restrictions are two sides of the same coin. When lawmakers mislabel birth control as abortifacients, as a motive to limit access to birth control pills, morning after pills, IUDs, and implants, which they are doing right now, or propose fetal personhood bills, they make it harder for physicians to provide evidence-based care. We also see a lot of confusion lately created by misinformation campaigns that falsely claim hormonal contraception is dangerous. We're already working in a state with high uninsured rates and one of the highest rates of maternal deaths. Slashing funding for birth control exacerbates these problems by increasing unplanned pregnancies and their complications. As a doctor, I want to be clear. Contraception is safe. It is essential. It reduces the risk of certain cancers, treats conditions like heavy periods, acne, the pain of endometriosis, and allows families to plan pregnancies responsibly. Yet politicians have turned this into a battleground. They should not be dictating our medical care. We need leaders who prioritize health over ideology by protecting access to contraception, expanding Medicaid, and investing in maternal care. We've been discussing public health and the CDC a lot in the news lately. Well, access to contraception is a cornerstone of
Just hearing from one of those speakers out there in front of the 20-foot inflatable IUD display that's happening there. That is at Liberty Plaza, Capitol Avenue in downtown Atlanta. So World Contraception Day observed each year on September 26th. And this IUD Express Tour makes a stop all across the country. Well, still ahead for you this morning, Microsoft is looking to expand its workforce in the Atlanta area. We'll take you to their job fair coming up.
Can you hear me?
Welcome back, everyone, and thank you so much for streaming with us on this Friday morning. Hope your day is off to a great start. We want to go right now to a story that we have been trying to get up for you this morning, a really important case of advanced care, cancer immunotherapies like tumor infiltrating therapy that's just become available in the Southeast. So we're talking about a really big deal here that can change the lives of several patients. So joining us this morning, we have Dr. Liza Bashir. She's with Northside Hospital, and she's joining us now to talk more about this. So, Dr. Liza, thank you so much for being on with us. We appreciate it. Okay, looks like we're having some technical difficulties with that, but I think we can take you now to a job fair that's happening. Microsoft is looking to expand its workforce here in the Atlanta area. So we have our Chris Rosenthal, who is live with more on what they're looking for and what's going on for folks today. So Chris, good to see you. Good morning.
Yeah, that's right. I'm at the Impact Center here at East Point, and let me take my earpiece out. And so, yeah, so this is, we got hundreds and hundreds of people here, about 900 or so are pre-registered for this this job fair with Microsoft, and also walk-ins are also welcome. And I'm going to walk in here myself. This is, you know, data centers, as we know, are huge business here in Georgia, Metro Atlanta. There's many of them coming online. Microsoft, just one of the many companies with data centers, and of course, those data centers, they need jobs, they need employees, and so these people are showing up here today to network, to find out what sort of opportunities there are to join in with a, you know, get a job with a data center. And there are a variety of options, you know, from construction jobs to operational jobs. These folks over here, they've got a, I believe it's a virtual job interview section here. I saw one woman here earlier. She was excited because she apparently got a job interview scheduled. So pretty, you know, pretty busy event here. I've got this gentleman here, Dexter Edmonds. He is with Opportunity Runway. He's actually busy talking to somebody right now, networking. But telling me a little bit earlier about, you know, it's not just like I said, technical jobs. There are jobs for you know, for building and constructing and doing you know, HVAC and doing the plumbing. I mean, somebody's got to put these data centers together, and also technical jobs as well. And then and so also I talked to a lot of the people that are here that signed up for this, and some of those people, you know, they come from a variety of experiences. They come from you know, technical backgrounds. I met one woman that was in banking looking for a career change. Some people just moved here looking for new jobs. So really just a variety of options for these people here today.
Sounds like it. Looks like there's a great turnout there for Microsoft to hopefully find some employees in East Point. We'd love to see it. Chris, thank you so much. We sure do appreciate it. Good luck to everyone out there who's looking for a job. Well, turning to a story, we're going to try to get this up and running for you this morning. Advanced cancer immunotherapies, some that had not been available in the Southwest are now available in the Southwest. So certainly a really big deal here. But to tell us more about it and the difference that it can make in the Southeast, excuse me, the difference that it can make in the lives of patients. We have Dr. Liza Bashir with Northside Hospital. So I see you. Hopefully we'll hear you at this point. There we go. I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you doing, Dr. Liza?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So this was worth working to get you on air to be able to share more about this therapy and the difference that it can make in the lives of patients. So for those that are unfamiliar, tell us a little bit more about this therapy, Dr. Liza.
Sure. So our body has immune cells called lymphocytes, and these lymphocytes are in charge of essentially killing things that are not supposed to be there, such as cancer. And so this therapy is called tumor infiltrating lymphocytes, is a new immunotherapy used specifically for the treatment of melanoma. Melanoma is a type of skin cancer that is very aggressive, can be very aggressive, and can metastasize or spread to multiple organs, including the brain, the liver. And we know that in the case of melanoma, for example, the immune system is really trying to kill the melanoma cells unsuccessfully in most cases. And so the way that tumor infiltrating lymphocytes work is that actually a piece of tumor is removed surgically and sent to a manufacturing company, where then the manufacturing company is able to purify and extract these T cells, these immune cells, these lymphocytes, and basically make them into super fighters. So it's essentially creating super fighting tumor infiltrating cells that can then be reinfused in the patient and act as live immunotherapy. So again, the tumor is surgically removed, the cells are sent to a manufacturing company. Lymphocytes or tumor cells are purified, expanded, made to grow, and then these cells are reinfused in the patient after a few days of chemotherapy to kind of prep the patient. And then we give the patient something called IL-2, which is basically a growth factor, if you will, for these lymphocytes, with the idea that now these T cells that were in the patient, purified and put back in the patient, can do tumor killing. And we've had great success so far. Northside Hospital was the first hospital to have TILS therapy approved in the state of Georgia in the Southeast. To date, we have seen over 50 patients. We have treated a lot of them successfly.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, certainly good to hear there. So why has this been, though, so unattainable here in the Southeast? Why has there been a holdup in bringing this to the area?
So the care of a patient that's going immunotherapy really requires a physician that's trained in cellular therapies and advanced immunotherapy. So part of it has been, Northside is one of the premier cancer and immunotherapy centers in the Southeast, but really a therapy like this needs to be done in a very specialized setting. So not every center in the United States, and certainly in the state of Georgia, has the trained staff and personnel to treat the complications of this therapy. And again, here at Northside with the bone marrow transplant group and the cellular immunotherapy group, we've been pioneers both in clinical trials and with approved therapies to bring these therapies into close proximity to the patient, right? So Northside in the community with Atlanta, we've been able to bring this therapy, but part of it is also education. So the local oncologists really need to know that this therapy is available, that we are an approved treatment center, that patients can be sent. The sooner the referral is placed, the better the outcome for the patient. So we've been working very hard with education with our local community oncologists to make sure that they know that the treatment is available, that there's an authorized treatment center, and that we are able to get a patient in and see them very quickly within a week that referral is in. So again, education, letting the doctors know that we're here, and with Northside's expertise, we've been very successful.
So happy to hear it. So happy to hear the difference that it's already made in such a short time. Dr. Liza Bashir with Northside Hospital, thank you so much for joining us this morning and just for sharing with us more on this this groundbreaking piece of technology that's able to help so many patients. We certainly appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, we want to turn now to another story that we're following for you this morning. Of course, Breast Cancer Awareness Month is right around the corner. It's October, of course, and it's focused on honoring cancer survivors and, of course, bringing to the forefront those who are struggling with breast cancer as well, the patients, the families, the advocates. So City of Hope is holding some really important events as we gear up for October. So joining us this morning to talk about a few of those, we have Patrick Brown, the VP of Business Development for City of Hope Atlanta. So Patrick, thank you for being on with us today. We appreciate it. Oh, goodness. All right, we see you. We can't hear you. We'll work on this. And in the meantime, stay right there, Patrick, because we're going to try to get some mic checks with you during the break. But we'll be right back after this. Stick around. Welcome back, everyone. We're so happy to have you with us on this Friday morning. So you're probably wondering what you can expect the rest of this Friday and on into the weekend weather-wise. So let's zoom in on that, show you what's happening with that, checking the forecast for you. So our meteorologist, if you were tuning in a little bit earlier, you saw Jonathan Stacy, who is joining me up here. He's talking about some scattered showers, watching the likelihood of tropical storm Imelda, something that they are following, keeping a close watch on that. But first off, scattered showers on Friday. You might have gotten some of those, but if not, chances are you will be getting some of those scattered showers. A thunderstorm is possible, so something to keep in mind as you're making your plans. Otherwise, looks like mostly cloudy, highs in the low 80s, drier, just a tad warmer for the weekend as we get ready to head into that, highs in the mid 80s. And Jonathan mentioned, too, that if you are trying to plan your day around the Georgia, Alabama tailgate and plan to be outside for that, he does not think that that's going to be a total washout, which is certainly some good news as we gear up for game day tomorrow. So don't cancel your plans just yet. Just be watching the forecast to see what's going to happen minute by minute with that. So an important thing there. But the development of subsequent track of tropical storm system could impact our weather early into next week, which is keeping our meteorologists busy. They've got their eye tracking what's happening with Imelda, with Umberto as well. So still too early to know if we could see any impacts from that. But again, our meteorologists are tracking that. And make sure you stay with Fox 5 Atlanta and Fox Local for the very latest on what's happening with the forecast. But there's still plenty of news that's headed your way. Fox 5 News at noon is coming up next. There'll also be another check of the forecast with Jonathan Stacy. But thank you so much for joining us. Remember, you can take us on the go with you. 107.9 HD2 FM is where you can go for the very latest on all of that. So thank you so much for joining us. We hope you have a great Friday.
Fox 5 News at Noon starts right now.
Good Friday afternoon. Thank you so much for choosing to get your headlines from Fox 5 News at noon. I'm Alex Whitler. We begin with a developing story out of Gwinnett County. Police have now charged a woman in connection with her own mother's stabbing death. Yesterday, officers found the victim dead in a home. Fox 5's Deidre Dukes has the latest on this investigation. She's live right near the crime scene. Deidre, this is something people are going to be shocked by. What have you learned?
Alex, I talked to the victims' family and neighbors this morning, and they are simply devastated. 62-year-old Janice Morris has lived in this community for several years. She was a mother and grandmother. We are told a mother of 5. Police were called to the residence at around 4:30 Thursday afternoon and discovered Morris had been stabbed to death. Gwinnett police have charged her 33-year-old daughter, Brittany Morris, with felony murder, aggravated assault, and possession of a knife during the commission of a felony. Now, Brittany Morris lives at the residence and was immediately identified as a person of interest. Police announced an arrest in the case just this morning. Now, family members and neighbors we spoke with spoke lovingly of Janet Morris, who had recently been diagnosed with cancer.
She loved her family, and she always give a big activity over the whole family with the kids and everything.